Welcome to the daily market outlook. We are about to check the chart and see what the market is offering us. To start off, we are going to look at the DXY. So the DXY, when we look on the weekly time frame, what we can see is that what price has respected this zone. That's our higher time frame target. So what I'm saying is that I want to see this highs go, but first we need to see what an inducement of what sellers. So when we go into price action, you can see that I have this line to my left where I'm expecting what price to reach. Maybe that's where we are going to what see the inducement of sellers. Then we can see what the longs back to their highs. So when we scale down to the lower time frame, like the 4 hour time frame, what we can see is that what price has what taken out this low, but not the low we want to see what go before the inducement happens. That's taken out this low, and we are looking forward an inducement before we ought to come back to this low that we've not taken out. So when we scale down to like the 15 minutes, what we can see is that what we have seen price have this what break of structure. At the moment, we can expect price to what move a certain way without even knowing too much, and I believe like price is going to what trap these buys, and maybe we see somewhat buys to this highs or this highs before we what see that sell off back to the lows. But right now for the DXY, all I see is what a break of structure, and I'm not what so sure of what's going to happen next. But this is what I'm anticipating. So my direction for the DXY today is what bullish, maybe to this highs for today's price action. So for gold, moving to the weekly time frame, what we can see is that what price is respecting this low on the weekly time frame. As we can see that what we've had some reactions from there. Gold is consolidating at the moment, but I've been able to find a trade on gold. Currently, I don't know what's going to happen, but when we scale down to the 1 hour time frame, I don't know what's going to happen on the higher time frame, but on the lower time frame, I'm positive that we are going to see what this happen. We can see that what we have taken out this low. Let me show the whole diagram. We've taken out this low first, then we've seen what price moves to the upside. From there, we've seen what sell off back to this low, taking out this low. From there, we've seen what a move to the upside causing a break of structure, a mitigation of this price action, which has what caused price to sell off and mitigate this zone. So when we scale down to the 15-minute time frame, what we can see on the 15 is that we've mitigated this price action. If you remember, we only have what a break of structure, so we are looking for what that inducement before we see what price moves to wherever. So currently we've seen a break of structure and we are looking for the inducement, and I believe we are going to get an inducement maybe at the side, and maybe price is what going to continue to the highs, or it can still what continue to the lows. Like I said, I don't know the direction for gold, so anything can happen. So with that in mind, I can see that what we've mitigated the zone, we've moved to the upside, you understand, and we've trapped some sellers to the left, and we've induced buyers. We mitigated the zone with what engineered liquidity at this low. So from there, I've seen the trade which I took. At this point, I saw what an inducement of buyers. Then I'm shorting gold to this low where I believe what we are going to see the inducement. So for EURUSD, starting with the weekly time frame, what I can say is that since we are long on the DXY, we should expect what some bearishness on gold. Sorry, on EURUSD. So EURUSD with a weekly time frame, what we can see is that what price has mitigated the zone which has caused it to sell off. We can see that what we are expecting this low to the left, which has what pushed price to the upside. I expect EURUSD to reach this highs. So with that in mind, we need to what see an inducement of sellers, then we can what catch a continuation. And also with the DXY is what bullishness, we can what expect that we see something, yeah, and that inducement, you understand, that inducement of what sellers, because the DXY is bullish. When it's bullish, EURUSD is bearish, which implies that we are going to see sales, which will later on what trap buyers and induce sellers. So that already gives us a sum of what we want to see. So I believe the EURUSD could maybe come to this low, but there's no what clear direction. We need to see what more price action. We get an inducement, then we can what short back to the lows. So for now, we are just what waiting. For GBPUSD, almost as EURUSD, you can see that what we are expecting this liquidity to the left side, which has caused what price to mitigate this zone and trap what sellers and induce buyers, which I believe is happening. And we can see that what we've taken out this low, then we've come to what trap these sellers again for what the final continuation. If we move to the daily time frame, what we can see is that what price has what taken out this high, and we are respecting this price action to the left. What we can see is that after taking out this high and respecting this price action to the left, we have maybe built liquidity at that low, and we could see what this sell off. But for today's price action with the help of the DXY, I want to see what this low go. So GBPUSD is just this low, almost as EURUSD, but for the higher time frame, I'm expecting this low to go, but it could move anyhow, and price could what later on coming for the highs and maybe taking out our higher time frame direction out. GBPUSD is in a very weird spot right now, so be careful. And with AUDUSD, starting with the weekly time frame, all you can see is that what we've taken out the side, we are expecting this, which has caused price to what sell off. With AUDUSD, I want to see what the highs go. If you study something with EURUSD, GBPUSD, and AUDUSD, I'm bullish on them on the higher time frame. So on the daily for AUDUSD, you can see that AUDUSD is fast approaching that low. We've mitigated this, which has caused price to move to the upside. Like I said, we want this highs. So after taking out this highs, what we expect, the inducement of sellers, then we see what's the continuation back to the highs. So with that in mind, what we can see is that what we have this breakout structure at this point. And let's open in the 15. So with this breakout structure, one thing we can study is that what there's no what liquidity in the move. It is just what a move to the upside. There are no buyers that we can trap, significant buyers that we can trap. That's going to what induce sellers. Then we see the long, I believe. So maybe we could see this happen, or I might be entirely wrong and price will what move to the highs. So that's it for today's daily market outlook. I'm bearish on most of the pairs, and I'm in a good short, which would probably hit the target. So catch you guys tomorrow. Bye.